This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and colder, it can really take a toll on how we feel. Maybe that means calling your grandma, writing a letter to your friend, finally grabbing lunch with someone you haven't seen in a while. And just like reaching out to a friend, starting therapy can take a bit of courage. BetterHelp makes it easy to start therapy. You'll be matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your growth and goals. Not happy with your match? You can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether that's checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Let's get to another big game, the biggest game of the week, I would argue. Matchup between two top 10 teams in the Big 12, the biggest game of the year in the Big 12. Number 8, Texas Tech left no doubts on who the favorite is to win that conference right now with a commanding 29-7 victory over BYU, handing the Cougars their first loss of the season. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. No surprise here. David Bailey, he has been unreal this year. One of the best defensive players in college football, 88.7, and his teammate, Jacob Rodriguez, who has also been one of the best defensive players in college football with an 81.4 grade. Brendan Jordan, 76.6 as safety. Another edge rusher who's had an All-American year. And Romello Height, 75.3. Running back Cameron Dickey, 72.7. And Baron Morton with only a 53.8 grade in the win for Texas Tech. Let's go over to BYU with their highest grade players. Highest grade player was Jack Kelly, who's all over the field in this one with a 73.9 PFF grade. Center, Bruce Mitchell, 72.5. Cornerback, Evan Johnson, 71.7. Safety, Raider DeMooney, 70.2. Another safety here in Tanner Wall, 69.3. And Bear Bachmeier with only a 52.3 grade for the true freshman in the loss. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
Just another ridiculous defensive effort from Texas Tech. To me, this game really is not an indictment on BYU in any way. I think they're going to be able to bounce back. And actually, I thought for most of the day, BYU's defense played well. They just ran out of gas. This game was really the same game that we watched when Texas Tech went in and just shut down Utah's offense. And I think at this point, when you look at this Texas Tech team, outside of a half dozen plays, like miracle plays that Sam Leavitt made against them in that loss to Arizona State, plus their offense struggled in that game, this defense is not just good. It's not just very good. This is one of the few defenses in the country that can hang with the big boys. When you talk about if they had to play even an Ohio State, they would stand a chance. In Indiana and A&M and Alabama, they would stand a chance on defense. I mean, I think my favorite stat right now, as much as anything in this game, which I'll get into, Ruben Bain by a sliver is still the highest graded defensive player in the country. The next three are David Bailey, Jacob Rodriguez, Romello Height.
Wow.
The entire country, they're the second, third, and fourth highest graded players on defense in the entire country, just barely behind Ruben Bain from Miami. I mean, just what they're doing with this defense, that unit alone almost makes them the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've seen it against Utah, we've seen it against everybody, and even Arizona State didn't grade all that highly. It's just that Sam Leavitt hit a handful of home runs, and it is what it is. He can do that, and he's not even healthy anymore. So if they had to play him again, A, I'd pick Texas Tech anyway, and B, wouldn't even matter because it's going to be Jeff Sims. I mean, my stat in just this game, BYU, one explosive run for 12 yards. It was their second play of the game. The first carry of the game went for 12 yards. They did not have another explosive.
An explosive run is 10-plus yards, so barely an explosive run, too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you just look at what they did. You shut down this BYU run game only 16 yards before contact, and this BYU offensive line is outstanding. They've been playing great football all year, only 4 first downs on the ground. What does that lead to? Even though Bear Bachmeier dropped back and threw the football well against Iowa State, really carried them to that one, this is a different animal, right? When you talk about Iowa State and Texas Tech, Bear Bachmeier only got to get into play action 7 times this entire game. BYU was out of the game plan. They were behind early. Texas Tech with the run defense, Jacob Rodriguez and those guys in that front 7 are just outstanding. I mean, there's only so many accolades we can throw this Texas Tech defense, but I think they've proven to me in an effort like this or one against Utah, where I believe Utah was the same way, maybe only one explosive run, if any, they can play with the big guns.
Yep.
They can. The questions for me with Texas Tech in those games, if they get to play in Ohio State or in Alabama or somebody like that, is going to be their offense, I think, especially throwing the football with Baron Morton. But defensively, they can play with anybody in the country. This is a top 3 or 4 defense in the country at minimum.
I would say the only ones you can make an argument for right now is probably Ohio State and Indiana. For the other
I would agree.
Yeah.
If you had them third, I wouldn't hate it. Even if you had them higher than that, I wouldn't hate it. I mean, they are just unbelievably sound at all 3 levels. They don't miss tackles. The pass rush is, I don't even know what the answer is.
I got some numbers on that for a second.
Pass rush,
yeah.
There's just no answers for it, especially. There's no team in the Big 12 that has any answers for this defense. As long as they're just functional on offense like they were in this game, this is such a hard team to beat.
Texas Tech right now, a 96.7 defensive grade, best in the country. 95.4 run defense grade, best in the country. 90.9 tackling grade, third best in the country. 91.8 pass rush grade, best in the country. 93.4 coverage grade, best in the country. They have the best run defense grade, the best pass rush grade, the best coverage grade in America, and the third best tackling grade in America right now. This defense is unbelievable.
They've only given up more than 20 points once, and that was that Arizona State game. And again, that was just Sam Leavitt making some hero plays that very few other quarterbacks can make. But I mean, you look at a game, you look at just what they're doing. I mean, BYU 7 points. Houston, who has been rolling this year, 11 points in that game. They held Utah to 10. I mean, just shut them down completely. This team is so much more physical than any other one in the Big 12. That's where it starts first and foremost for me. And you look at Texas Tech right now, their last 2 games against UCF and West Virginia, fully expect them to win those. And then you've got that second place race in the Big 12 that's going to get really interesting because the stakes for that BYU-Cincinnati game in a couple weeks are going to be extremely high. And you still have Houston and somehow Arizona State still sticking around with only 2 losses too. But I mean, Texas Tech is the clear favorite in this conference. They had one slip up with Will Hammond in there against Arizona State, but there's no reason they should lose either of these next 2 games. And to be honest with you, it's starting to look like there's no reason they should lose the Big 12 title.
Yeah. My stat to tell the story in this one is another crazy Texas Tech defensive stat is BYU had 9 plays total in Texas Tech territory, and 6 of those 9 plays came in the fourth quarter when the game was essentially over too. So an incredible job by Texas Tech's defense, never even letting BYU cross midfield really in this one. 0.6 rushing yards before contact per carry for BYU yesterday. Texas Tech's defensive line, 78% pass rush win rate. 78% against BYU. Against an offensive line for BYU, by the way, that has been the best part of BYU's team this year. An offensive line that was 7th in the country in offensive line grade going into the week. And Texas Tech's defensive line still annihilated them in this one. The clear-cut best team in the Big 12 right now, like Dalton said, and also a team that seems poised to potentially make a deep run in the playoff.
2 other guys I want to credit just to get on Texas Tech's offensive side here. I mean, you know, we were a little worried about this run game preseason when Quentin Joyner got hurt, the transfer running back from USC. But the job every single week that one or both of Jacoby Williams and Cameron Dickey do in this run game, and even both of them adding to the receiving game combined for 56 receiving yards as well. But you look at these 2 guys, and in a physical defensive game like this, the way that they took over in the run game, especially just like in the Utah game as BYU started to gas out late, but combining 36 carries for 198 yards, 14 missed tackles between the 2 of them. I mean, that's really where this team is centered. They're more physical. They run the football. They play defense. And if they get enough complimentary passing out of Baron Morton, then so be it. Caleb Douglas, obviously, with the great touchdown catch in the back of the end zone there, too. So I think this team knows their identity. The defense is first and foremost, the run game with these 2 backs, and then they find the rest in the passing game. They're outstanding, man, and they've got an inside track to the playoff and the Big 12 title right now.
Who is your most impressive player from this game?
Oh, you already know. I do this every week. I do it every week. I think one week I pick Cameron Dickey, but every other Texas Tech game, it's Jacob Rodriguez over and over and over. He just constantly makes plays. He's the highest graded linebacker in college football, 83.9 coverage grade with the interception, had a fumble recovery at the end of the game, 13 tackles, 6 total stops, 93 point. I mean, he's the only player graded higher. Rodriguez has a 93.5 overall grade this year. The only player graded higher in the country is Reuben Bain Jr. This should be, to me, I know there's some other good ones out there. I listen, Arvell Reese is great. My guy Kingston Viliamuasa from Notre Dame, he was really good again last night in Notre Dame's blowout win over Navy. But to me, this should be maybe the easiest award to give out. this season, Jacob Rodriguez should win the Butkus without question. He's just been unbelievable stuff in the stat sheet. The grades say it all. There's never a down week with him. There's just not a down week. He understands his instincts in the run game are outstanding. He's always around the football. He's turning the football over. Just an unbelievable year from an unbelievable player.
Yeah, he should win the Butkus Award right now, and he should win the Burlsworth Trophy as the best former walk-on.
I would agree with that as well, yeah.
He is unbelievable. His story, man, is so cool. So he started his career at Virginia as a quarterback at Virginia, by the way, transferred to Texas Tech, walked on to the Texas Tech football team. He actually slept on his brother's floor to make ends meet and took out loans, too, for his tuition and books, too. So then obviously gets a scholarship at Texas Tech, and now all of a sudden is, I would say right now, the best linebacker in college football. I know Arvell Reese has been unbelievable for Ohio State this year, but I would agree with you that Jacob Rodriguez should win the award, the Butkus Award right now for the best linebacker in college football. And Dalton, I don't know if you heard on the broadcast yesterday, but a lot of people were agreeing with you that Heisman Trophy love for Jacob Rodriguez.
Hey,
right now.
I mean, look, it's when you have a guy playing like that, I'm not saying he should win it because we've got quite a class of quarterbacks, but you know what? He keeps playing like this through his last 2 games, and the number, if he ends up as the highest graded defensive player in the country, man, I'd really think about at least sending him in that top 4.
Matt Taiteo was a finalist that one year at Notre Dame.
This kid, it's been every single week with him. I mean, you just can't even. I want to even see. I'm going to check right now. What was his lowest grade of the season in any game? Because I'm sure it's still like, oh, okay, that's good enough, right? Let me look at this real quick. It's lowest grade of the year against Kansas. He had a 57. He had one other game at a 71. Every other game has been above 80.
That's crazy.
They've played 10 games, and 8 of them he's graded above an 80. That's just silly what Rodriguez has done every single. And even in that Kansas,
80 is a great grade.
Even in that Kansas game, couple mistakes in coverage. He had 13 tackles. He had a sack in that. I mean, just the motor never shuts off with him any week. It's unreal.
So if he doesn't make it to New York for the Heisman ceremony, his teammate on defense, David Bailey, also has a case. That's my most impressive part of this game too. David Bailey was unreal against BYU in this one. The 86.8 pass rush grade, 38% pass rush win rate, 8 pressures, and 3 quarterback hits. Also had 2 run defense stops and a tackle for loss. 66 pressures this year. Easily the most in college football. Like Dalton said, the 3 best edge rushers in America. Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami, and then you got David Bailey and Romello Height, both from Texas Tech. I would say all 3 of those guys should be first-round picks in the NFL draft. I don't know if you saw the article. I got to find who wrote the article. I want to give him credit. But the David Bailey article about how he's going to go to UCLA, Dalton, originally. And then Texas Tech came in with a Godfather NIL offer. And he ended up going to Texas Tech instead after transferring from Stanford. And Texas Tech was like, hey, listen, man, that's money well spent. I don't care how much it costs. This guy has been an unreal edge rusher for Texas Tech. He was the best pass rusher, or one of the best pass rushers in the country at Stanford, and he has been that and more for Texas Tech this year.
Absolutely. And when you consider, okay, you want to try to chip and double Bailey, then you still have Romello Height on the other side. I mean, he's
Lee Hunter, too.
Leading the nation and Hunter was outstanding in this game as well with 7 pressures. Leading the nation in pressures, leading the nation in sacks, leading the nation in quarterback hits, 6th in pass rush win rate. I mean, it's not just volume or efficiency. It is both. He's been outstanding. And don't forget, too, a pass breakup dropping into coverage in this game as well early on. So, I mean, no, an unreal year for an unreal defense. There's so many guys on this defense playing well. And at some point, we're going to have to go through all of them because it's more than even just these 2 or 3 guys. The entire unit is playing outstanding football.
And he's not as dominant of a run defender as Reuben Bain or even his teammate Romello Height, but I want to give him credit, too, because at Stanford, he was really an unreal pass rusher, but not a very good run defender. He's become like more than a serviceable run defender this year at Texas Tech, too.
Absolutely. So, I'll take a 74 run defense grade from him. If you're going to give me that level of pass rush, I'll take a 74. Sure, that's every bit of solid, every bit of good enough, starting caliber, whatever you want to call it. An improvement from last year when it was a 59. When you go, all right, I'm a little nervous about him on early downs, but no, he's just outstanding. I mean, we're going to keep waxing poetic about this Texas Tech defense. We'll see him in the Big 12 title game and obviously have that preview the next 2 weeks against West Virginia and UCF. I fully expect them to take care of business here. They're just better than those 2 teams. But, I mean, what a performance we're getting on defense from this team. And even for as good as we thought this would be, especially this defensive line preseason, we didn't think it'd be this. This is a legitimate
I had him top 3
defense in the country.
I would say this is the best defensive line in America. Say so.
Right. I mean, Miami's probably the only other one with an argument.
I threw in Texas Tech preseason at number 3 in that ranking, and they're number 1 right now. I would say they are. Even without Skylar Gill-Howard, who was unreal for
and you may get him back in time for the playoff.
Which is just, that's crazy.
It's insane.
Real quick on BYU, because we have a question in the chat from Charles Todd Barnum. 82-60. Does BYU make the playoffs with 2 losses? What I would say to that is if they're 10-2 and don't make the Big 12 title game, they're not getting in. If they go 11-1, they beat Cincinnati, and then if they lose again to Texas Tech, it'd be more of a conversation for me at 11-2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. At a straight up 10-2, they need to beat Cincinnati. First of all, they need to beat TCU this week. Not easy, right? Solid team. They need to beat Cincinnati and get into the Big 12 title game. Then you have that conversation. Then it's almost like the SMU thing last year where are they getting blown out again? Is it going to look a little bit better? I mean, look, BYU's really good. You've got, you got the win over Utah. You know, the early schedule wasn't blazing. It wasn't great. So you're going to look at, when you look at strength of schedule, it's not great. Iowa State's been average this year. Arizona's been pretty average. So the problem is there's not a ton of big wins in BYU's schedule. At least going to the Big 12 title game at 11-1 will be a requirement for that.
We're going to get to the playoff bracket later on in the show. Spoiler right now, BYU is still in my bracket.
Yeah, no, this loss alone should not take them out of that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't move down below maybe number 10, somewhere in there. They should still
they
be
got them 9, I think.
I mean, this game was so much more about Texas Tech than BYU. BYU has every bit the chance. They've got TCU. The Cincinnati game right here in Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium is going to be the other game of the year in the Big 12 because that most likely decides second place when you look at if the other two, if they take care of business, obviously, and then UCF to finish out the year. But no, I mean, BYU, they just have to bounce back, and I think they should be able to do that.
I mean, Utah right now is number 13 in the country, and BYU beat them.
Yeah.
And they have 2 losses. So
yes. I mean,
if Utah is in the conversation for playoff at 10-2 potentially, BYU absolutely should be at 11-1.
And that's the thing is I would make the case for Utah that they're going to have to find a way to win the Big 12, and that's going to require.
I agree. I don't think they're going to get
that is going to require some. They're going to need Cincinnati to win and then lose a different. You're going to get into tiebreakers, and Houston still only has 2 losses. They pulled a close one out against UCF, so they're not dead yet either. But no, looking forward to that BYU Cincinnati game in a couple weeks because that's going to be huge.
To answer your question though, if they lose Cincinnati, probably not at 10-2. If they go 11-1. And then lose to Texas Tech again, it would be more of a conversation. And probably, I would argue they should get in. I don't know if the committee would do that, but I would argue at 11-2, they probably should get in if they lose again in the Big 12 title game, for example.